So let's do our pledges. Everybody stand up, right hand on the heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Awana flag, which is around the corner, I think, because I forgot to bring it out. So I get to be the color guard tonight, too. All right. I pledge allegiance to the Awana flag, which stands for the Awana clubs, whose goal is to reach boys and girls with the gospel of Christ and to train them to serve him. Excellent. Welcome, clubbers. Why are we here? How long does his love last? How much does God love us? Why did he give his son? How are we saved? How do we live for him? So be on your guard. Be people of courage. Do everything in love. Excellent. And we don't have any more slides till the end with the end stuff, DJ Kirk. So tonight is Rainbow Night. Rainbow. Who thinks they know the story? Connor. Noah. Very good. We're going to talk a little bit about Noah tonight. And Noah built a minivan. Right? No. A boat. He built a boat. And he built a boat in, what's that? Yeah, it was. You're right. He built that boat in downtown Chicago. Why are you laughing? Is that not where it was? Where did he build this boat? By his home? Excellent. We don't really have an exact location of where he lived at that point, but Noah lived in a desert. Noah lived out in the middle of a lot of land that did not have water. And let's say I said to you, I have a few things that I can bring in. I've got some electrical wires. I've got a couple of tires. I have a piece of sheet metal, and I have some gasoline. So why don't you build a car for me? Who in here can build me a car? If you have enough research time and material, yes, but how about I tell you, I'm just going to give you the instructions, and you build me a car. You guess? The same as her? Yeah. It would be kind of a challenge, wouldn't it? Now, what if I gave you all the materials and I said, I want you to build me a hovercraft? Good question. A hovercraft is something that hasn't been invented yet. It's been thought about, and it's been used as props in movies, but it hasn't been invented yet. It would be like a car, but instead of driving on the road, it hovers over the top of the road. So there are no wheels touching or anything. I think there are people working on it, but it doesn't exist yet. Yeah, but it might be challenging, wouldn't it? Because it doesn't exist yet. So when Noah was told to build his boat, nobody around him had ever seen a boat. Nobody around him had ever seen a giant body of water. Nobody around him thought there was any reason that anyone in their right mind might need a boat out there in the middle of nowhere where they were. And God says to Noah, I want you to build a boat. And you know what Noah says? Any guesses? Who thinks they know what Noah says? Okay, exactly. He says, all right, I'll build you a boat. What does it need to look like? And God tells him exactly what it needs to look like. And in our terms today, so he tells him in cubits, but I'm going to translate it for you because cubits are not a unit of measurement that we use. Who in here uses cubits? Got a cubit ruler in your closet? No? Me neither. You have a cubit ruler? Yeah. So since we don't use cubits, we don't have a good frame of reference for that in our minds, do we? So this boat would have been 450 feet long. To help you imagine this, it's 1.5 football fields. Yeah, that's pretty long. This boat is going to be 75 feet wide, which is like 3 times the distance from Johanna to me, by the back wall to up here. 3 times that distance wide. And it's going to be 45 feet high. Give you a little reference. Stack 8 more of me on top of my head. That's how tall, yeah. I never thought anybody would think I was tall. But if you stack a whole bunch of me on top, it's pretty tall, isn't it? That's a big boat. That's right. By myself, I'm not tall. Yes, DJ Kirk looks like he's really tall up there, doesn't he? You know the boat would have been taller than him up there? So he's told to build this boat, and he says, okay. And I'm guessing it's possible that his next question was, what's a boat? They didn't have him there, and they didn't have a reason for them. What's that? How to build it. Yes, you're right. He would ask how. He would say, how do I do this? And God told him. He said, this is the shape. And I fully believe that God provided him the materials, that he had the materials around him. He gathered those up, and he starts building a boat. Now, if any of you started building a hovercraft in your backyard, what do you think your neighbors would say? Crazy. But when you're finished, they might be impressed. Yeah, they'd be like, whoa. But they probably think you're a little nuts. Noah's neighbors thought he was a little nuts. He's out there building a boat in the middle of a place that you don't need a boat. And not only that, he's not building a little sailboat. He's building a gigantic ark. And he's building it because God looked down and he saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. All the time. Yeah. So all of us, especially those of us with siblings, have probably done something not so nice to people, right? Yeah, if we're really honest. I see those hands out there. So the worst of the things that we've done to our siblings doesn't even touch where the hearts of people were at this time. The worst thing we've done isn't even near the ideas that were in everybody's minds. Did you have a thought, Adam? Why was there sin? That's an excellent question. There was sin because, remember last week we talked about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? Remember that? And God had said, don't eat from this one and only tree. And they did. And then sin entered the world. And from there, it just got worse. It's like the first time you ever go, oh, you know what? I could sneak a cookie and nobody would know. And then all of a sudden you've gotten away with it and you go, oh, I bet I could sneak more cookies. I bet I could sneak even more cookies. And little did you know that your mom knows, because moms know these things. God knew. Just like that, God knew what was going on, and he knew that the thoughts of all people's hearts were only evil all the time. They never even thought, man, this might not be nice. This might not be the best choice. This might not be quite what I should do. The thoughts of their heart were only evil all the time. And God said, this isn't good. This isn't good. And so he decides to wipe it out and start over. Anybody in here ever done something with Play-Doh that didn't turn out the way you wanted? Yeah. Anybody ever drawn a picture and you look at it and you go, that doesn't look like what I meant it to look like? I've done that a lot. And then sometimes you take the Play-Doh and you crush it and you start something new. Sometimes you take that piece of paper and you wad it up and you throw it away and you start something new. God was saying, I need to start over with my creation. Because this sin has gotten so out of hand. I need to start it again. So he tells Noah, build me this great big boat. And in this boat, you and your wife and your sons and their wives and 2 of every animal are going to go in because it's, just a minute, I'm going to just teach for a little bit, okay? Are going to go in because it's going to start raining. Noah says, okay, what's rain? Okay, hold on, I'm just going to teach for a little bit, okay? And so he says, all right, I'm going to build this boat, and all these animals are going to come in with me, and we're all going to be in there. So let's imagine for a minute. They're in there for about a year. Let's imagine for a minute that you're stuck someplace with the same people for a long time. Nothing's happening anywhere else, so you can go see any other people. That's not so hard to imagine right now, is it? Because we've all just been through this. We've all been stuck in one place for a little while with all the same people and not being able to get out and see anybody else. Who went a little bit crazy in the spring and the early summer? I probably shouldn't raise my hand because I went a lot crazy. That was hard, wasn't it? All of a sudden, you're not in school, you don't see your friends, you're stuck at home, you see your family all day, every day, and nobody else, and you can't even go anywhere. Noah and his family were stuck on an ark with all the animals that existed for a year. Yeah. And they had to eat to stay alive, right? Guess what happens when animals eat? Yeah. So the ark probably didn't smell so hot either. And they're all stuck in there for about a year. But they go through this, and the entire world is covered in water. The entire world is covered. They spend this time in the ark, and they get to the point the rain stops. It rains for 40 days and 40 nights. And then when the rain stops, just a minute, when the rain stops, they start to go, maybe we're going to get out. Maybe some of the restrictions are going to be lifted. Maybe we're going to get to go see the world outside of this ark. And so he starts sending out a bird. And finally a point comes when a dove comes back with an olive branch, which is super exciting because it means there's a tree growing. And a tree can't grow, an olive tree cannot grow if it's underwater, which means there's dry land, which means we're going to get out of the ark soon. And then the dove doesn't come back. The ark lands on Mount Ararat. Everybody gets to get out, and God starts over. And as God starts over, he tells Noah, he says, I'm never going to destroy the world by flood again, ever. And the way that you can be assured that I remember that promise, I'm always intrigued by that. When God tells them about the rainbow and his covenant, he doesn't say, I'm putting this rainbow in the sky for you to remember. He says, I'm going to put this rainbow in the sky for me to remember, to remind me of my covenant with you to never destroy the world by water again. Who here thinks that God needs to be reminded of his covenants? He doesn't. He doesn't. God remembers every single thing he's said and done. He remembers every single thing I've said and done. God doesn't need to be reminded, but we do. And we sometimes need to be reminded that God remembers. Just like sometimes you go and ask your parents the same question because you need to know that they remember that they said you were going to have pizza and ice cream. Not that you forgot, but that you need to go ask them again because you want to make sure they remember. God knew that we as human beings needed to know that he remembers what he said. And every time you see a rainbow in the sky, it's a reminder to us that God remembers his covenant. His covenant at this point was that I will never again destroy the world by water. His covenant later was that he would deal with the issue of sin by coming down himself, living a perfect life, dying and rising from the dead for us, because we couldn't live a perfect life and we couldn't make our relationship with him right again. All that sin gets in the way. But just like God taking care of his creation through Noah, he takes care of us through Jesus. And he gives us freedom from sin in Jesus Christ. And every time we see that rainbow, we can remember that he does not forget his covenants, ever. Ever. One more question.
How could all of those animals survive in the desert and how did they get them?
That's an excellent question. And the Bible doesn't tell us exactly how they all got there, but it does say that they started coming, that the animals showed up. And I believe that God just went, you two animals, go to that ark. You two, go to that ark. You two cows to the ark. You two giraffes to that ark. And sent them all over. Yes? Well, it was rainwater, so it would be fresh. And there wasn't acid rain yet, so they would be okay. That's rain that's polluted already when it comes down. So they would have, yes, they would have been able to drink the water. It would have been fresh rainwater. It's another wonderful way for us to know that God takes care of each one of us. So I want you to spend a little time with your groups, talk over this stuff. Anyone who is watching online, spend this time together with your family, talk a little bit about this story and what it means, and what it means for us today. And we will come back together in a little bit and wrap up, about 20 minutes.